So thank you everybody for coming. To respect everybody's time, we'll get rolling within about 5 minutes, which is of course within Okanagan County on time. And want to say thank you for coming to the Omak Candidate Forum. This is the 2nd annual, and it will be a long tradition because I realized when I ran for school board in 2023, this didn't exist. And trying to figure out how many houses I would have to go to and how many doors I would have to knock on and whether I got to remember to get the fair booth or not. But having everything in one place so that voters can meet candidates and candidates can meet voters is a way that community politics is supposed to work, and if we can get it all in one place in a nonpartisan event where you can have popcorn and pop all at the same time so that you can like sit still and not get too nervous, then that's what politics ought to be. So Maria and I thought that this would be a great way to do that, so really appreciate everybody coming. If there are suggestions on how to make this better, maybe it should be closer to election day, maybe it should be after you get your ballot, maybe everybody totally remembers what's going to be on the ballot based on what was on the primary, or maybe they don't have any idea. Okay, so we'll lay out the lay of the land of what is happening in Omak politics right now. So this isn't off year. So the candidates that we'll see on your ballot in here tonight are hospital commissioners, fire commissioners, the mayoral race, and the city council in Omak, and also school board races. So in doing this research, I always get, the voter pamphlet, and there is a cemetery commissioner. Like, I want to know what a cemetery commissioner does. Unfortunately, we are not in a cemetery district here, so we do not have cemetery commissioners. So unfortunately, I could not learn more about cemetery commissioners, but we're going to learn about fire commissioners and hospital commissioners, and we may be able to extrapolate what cemetery commissioners do based on that. So that's a little bit of information about what we are going to learn about tonight. If there's questions that people want to ask, we've got paper and we can add questions as we go along. Other things that we'll look at, so starting off with the hospital commissioner, the term is 6 years as a regular term. Correct, David?
Mine's only 4.
Okay, unless you've taken over a term of someone else, then it is an unexpired term. So that's how you can have a hospital commissioner that is running for 6 years and another that's running for 4 years. So we'll start out with Debbie, who is running for hospital commissioner, unopposed as an incumbent. And we started out with easy questions like, what is your name and what position are you running for? Because there's multiple hospital commissioners. And the reason there are multiple is because they have to be from different geographical areas. Everybody votes for the same hospital commissioners, but we need to make sure they don't all live on the east side, or they all live in downtown, or they all live up on the flats. So that's what we know about hospital commissioners. So Debbie, tell us about hospital commissioners.
Do you want me to stand up?
If you would be willing to, please stand up. And the sound guy said that if you stand within that bar, you do not have to stand up there, but horizontally within
I'm not
that bar.
standing up there.
Okay. If anyone feels the overwhelming need to stand on the stage because that's what you've always wanted to do, you definitely can.
So we turn this on.
Yep.
Green light must mean I can talk. I am Debbie Clark. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Up closer? There we go. Okay. My name is Debbie Clark, and I am running unopposed for Hospital Commissioner number 4, position number 4, for Mid-Valley Hospital. When you ask what is the most important thing about this position, I have my little cheat sheet because, standing and talking at the same time are a little difficult sometimes. The biggest or the most important thing of a hospital commissioner is to be engaged and part of what's going on with the hospital, making the meetings, asking questions, because a lot of times hospital commissioners don't have a medical background, so there is a lot to learn. But it does not mean that you can't run for that, because you come up with some awful good questions if you are still learning. So why would I be a good hospital commissioner, and why do I know anything? I have 43 years in the medical field. I spent quite a bit of time with Confluence Health. Actually, I went from Family Medical Center to Wenatchee Valley Clinic to Confluence Health. I spent 43 years there, and most of those years were spent in management and or administration. So you're wanting to know what's going well or not well right now. Actually, things are going quite well now. We have a new CEO. He has hit the ground running, and I'm very proud of him, and he's doing an awfully good job. And I can see the hospital growing from his presence there, and he has helped the board grow too. He is our lifeline. He's the one that helps us understand and know that yes, we should be thinking about this, or no, we shouldn't be thinking too much about that. So Andy has been great in that aspect. Something that I would like that we have already been working on is we have been working on strategic planning, and that is not going to be complete yet, but I am excited about it eventually becoming a complete project and something that we're able to start implementing. So, and you want to know how to get a hold of me? Go to the Mid-Valley Hospital website and you can look up Commissioner Foth and send me an email. Okay.
Sounds lovely. Thank you.
Anything else?
Any questions? Thank you. Fire Commissioner is next. Rebecca Christoph is out of town. Oh, we have one more hospital
We
commissioner.
have a hospital, yeah.
Excellent. Yes.
That would be you.
Yes.
Yeah, push it.
And Rebecca Christoph was invited but was already committed and out of town. So we did have a positive response. So then we have our next hospital commissioner.
Hi, my name is Kelly Cariker, and I'm running for hospital commissioner for Mid-Valley Hospital. The position that I would be running for was Yvonne LaGruz. She's retiring after her last run this time. Yeah, she's been there for over 10 years. I have been previously in hospital healthcare for 15 years in IT and in leadership. I also did business and healthcare consulting. So I've worked with a number of hospitals in our county and region. We're kind of running into a little bit of troubled waters with what could be happening with Medicare and the reimbursements to hospitals. When you have people coming to your ER and 1 out of every 4 might not pay their bill, it's hard to run a business. So I think it's really important to champion for rural healthcare and fight for all the hospitals that are in our county. You have that golden hour if you have a stroke, or if you're in a car accident or a heart attack, or if you're having a baby, to get to a hospital. If the hospitals aren't here, that can greatly affect the citizens of our county. And so I think it's going to be very important in this next term to make sure that the hospitals are here and strong. We need to work together. There's probably some things that we can do to coordinate a little better, and I know I've met with the hospital, the current CEO, and I've met with the current board members. I've attended meetings and read all their notes, so I'm trying to get up to speed. But I think that it's going to be a challenging time in healthcare, especially when budgets are, razor thin, and you're relying on Medicare and Medicaid for 40% of what you're bringing in. So that can make a really big difference on what happens in our local community. I know the board has done an excellent job being fiscally responsible. Out of all of the hospitals in the county, I think Mid-Valley is in the strongest fiscal situation right now, but that could drastically change depending on how hospitals are reimbursed. We're a critical access hospital, which means that we are reimbursed at a rate higher than larger hospitals in metropolitan areas. But if you are only getting 3/4 of your payment, it still can be rough. So I will try to champion for our hospital, both here and in Olympia, and try to keep everything strong and going in the right direction. I think we've gone past some rough waters, and we're heading into some smoother areas from what's happened in the past. I think that there is a good leadership team right now, and that Mid-Valley is going in a good direction. And I just want to make sure that we stay on that path.
Okay, sounds great. So it sounds like backgrounds for hospital commissioners are business and healthcare and experience.
It can help, yes.
Okay, excellent. All right.
Is there any questions?
How do we get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me. My last name is Cariker, so it's just cariker@gmail.com. Or you can call or text me at 322-4576.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Who's next?
Okay, fire commissioner are we out of hospital commissioners now?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And so next we will have fire commissioners. Order of operations, the non-incumbent gets to pick whether they go first or last. Okay, all right. Then that means that Mike gets to go first and tell us about fire commissioner and fire commissioner 3. And if you're looking on the voter pamphlet and you see, so we are Hospital District 3 is Mid-Valley. The other hospital districts are the other hospitals. So it's not different areas within this geographic area, it's different hospitals. Now, the fire commissioners are geographic areas close to here. So 3 is mostly downtown or mostly the flats?
Mostly outside of out of town.
Okay,
Okay, want me to go?
carry on.
Well, I'm Mike Cusick. I'm the incumbent for Fire District 3 Commissioner. This will be my 3rd time on the ballot, I believe. When I started, I took over for Joel Hand, representing the south end of the district, because we got 3 commissioners, one that pretty much represents the south, 1 central, and 1 north, is the way it always was with the gentleman's agreement. Things have changed, it appears. But I've got 40+ years fire experience, and our district basically runs from the bottom of Overgrade to the south and to just north of the Omak Airport on the north. So we got a pretty big district. It's Okanagan, Mowat, and Omak are the 3 stations, and the last few years we've been starting to work together really good together. If they're training, that people are starting to train, we're incorporating the 2-3 departments, training together a little bit more. So things have come a long ways. What do I think is the most important thing in this role? Safety for the firemen is number 1. Looking out for the taxpayers, the Fire District 3 is being right up there at the very top, and that's where I'm at. I'm for the taxpayer. So our taxes are almost the lowest in the county. There's 1 district that's just to our north that is a penny less than we are on the taxes. So, and I'd like to keep our taxes as low as possible. As everybody knows, though, that things are getting more expensive and you may have to look at some other options coming down the road here a little bit, but I'm still looking out for the taxpayer, and I don't want to see taxes go up anymore. I'm a sitting chairman right now. I have been for 2 terms. And everything seems to be working real good with the 3 commissioners that are there at the time, at this moment anyway. So I put needs before wants, and basically we look out over the budget, and it's $230,000 annual budget that we're responsible for overseeing how the money's spent. And so I always ask them, the chiefs and stuff, well, I need to know what you want and what you need. We'll get you what you need, and then we'll look at what you want and see what we can do there and how we can go about doing it. And that's pretty much what we do.
What is the biggest line item that budget is spent on for the fire district?
Right now, it's equipment. Like right now, at this moment, we've got the Omak fire engine is in Nevada getting a complete rebuild on it, and we had to come up with $117,000 last year to even get it into the place. So we're going to be responsible for the other half come. It should be back in probably January, maybe February. If they really get going, maybe December. But so far, we were looking at borrowing the money to do the other half, but we may not get financed, and we may have to come out of our budget. So that's our biggest expense right now. And the other thing is, it's like the equipment for turnout gear for the firemen. They're like almost $5,000 a set for the coat, the pants, the boots, the helmet. And so every time you get another new fireman, you got to kind of pick up the slack there if you didn't have old stuff that had fit them. So the equipment's pretty expensive. And everything keeps going up, like I say, every year. It's kind of crazy, but that's the way it is. I look out for training, safety. It's my number one priorities there, and then looking out for the taxpayer.
Sounds good. Best way to get a hold of you?
Best way to get a hold of
Who
me?
loves email?
Yeah, I don't email very well. Best way is to call my cell phone or text my cell phone at 509-429-2407. I do have an email, which is riverdog243@gmail. I don't check it very often because it's just not a high priority for me to be on email. Is there any questions that I can answer? Yes, sir.
Mike, I have one. Talk about keeping taxes down and such. What plans do the commissioners have as a whole to be able to, with the catastrophic fires we've had throughout our nation, let alone in our state and our county that we've seen in the last several years, that seem to keep going on and on and on? Is there any educational plans that they have to go around to our people that we have in our district to educate them more than what has been done in the past? It seems like you go around, people still have wood piles still up against their house, there's still trees around the house, things like that. Is there any more plans to have an educational force that goes around, and we could have these forums like this to better educate our people? It's like we have to be reminded every year of things we need to do.
Good question. We don't have any major plans. Every year, spring, especially in the springtime, we put stuff in the paper trying to remind people that, while the fire season is coming up, and trying to keep things mowed down as best as possible, you're limbed up and stuff like that to prevent spread of fire. And it would be good to have some more forums or something like that, other than the fair, Okanagan Days, and a couple things that they have in Omak during the year. That's pretty much where we get the information out, plus just word of mouth.
All right, thank you. Okay, so next we have Susan, who chose to go second.
Good evening. My name is Susan Stewart, and I'm running for Fire District 3 Commissioner. Can you hear me now? Okay. I've never run for a public office, It's something new for me, but I have over 25 years in municipal government finance, so I know how to look at the budget and the line items and see when your expenditures are outweighing your revenues, and how to go about trying to find different resources. If you have to raise taxes, that's gonna go to the people, and that's up to the people to decide if you wanna raise your taxes for fire protection, not up to any one person. And like Mike said, there are 3 commissioners, so I would look forward to working with the other 2 commissioners for their insight and guidance from their longevity in those positions, as well as my personal experience on the fire line and as an EMT to know the type of equipment and gear that we need and the resources that we can go to get those. So the most important thing is managing the finances, overseeing the policies, ensuring that we're in compliance with state, federal regulations to protect our firefighters and the public and their property. And that's my goal. And additional public outreach. I am the public outreach coordinator for Okanagan Fire for the city of Okanagan. I've been doing outreach for a couple of years now. We go to the schools, we do presentations to the kids. We also have fire safety awareness events. At the fire hall, we do demonstrations, we do tours, we're welcome, our doors are open at any time. We're gonna have a preschool tour coming up. We've had 2nd grade tours for years. And they come through the city, they go through City Hall, they go through the fire hall, they go through the post office, and they started going through the sheriff's office. So they're getting additional education that way. But we also need to recruit the next generation by going to the high school and letting them know that when you turn 16, come see us and we'll show you what we can do with you. And we have those kids going off to college and into the medical field and continuing in the fire industry. So it's a good program. I know that Omak's getting out there doing the same thing, recruiting the youth. So that way we don't have just aged firefighters that are a liability. So in my next term, I would be continuing to do outreach, and I am more in favor of going out and doing housing assessments. We did 162 in the city of Okanagan this spring in coordination with the DNR. So I'm open to any questions.
What is the benefit for the high school kids joining the fire department?
One of the benefits is they see structure, they have mentors, they learn useful skills, accountability. They find out what's in store. There's scholarships, there's residency programs, there's all kinds of benefits for them. And we can also help them go through EMT if that's something they want to pursue.
What is the time commitment for a high school student joining the fire department?
Well, there's a 101 program that they have to pass the 7 mandatory things before they can get on a track. And we have weekly trainings, which are generally 2 to 3 hours on Wednesday nights. And then we also do some special weekend trainings for extrication and other things if we need to.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
If elected, will you be the first female commissioner?
That's a really good question. In Okanagan County, I believe I would be. Okay, you can reach me on my cell phone, which is 509-846-4911, or on my email, which is ssstewart4fd3@gmail.com. Or you can find me on Facebook and send me a message that way too.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Okay, and next we'll talk about, is there any other questions for hospital commissioner and fire commissioner just generally? Yes.
I don't know if either of the candidates for the fire commissioner know, but I know, if I remember correctly, the federal government had released over $200 million for fire mitigation efforts in our area. I didn't know if any of that money had actually reached into District 3 or any of the surrounding districts, and if they knew that or not. I believe it's supposed to be dispersed between 2023 out to 2027.
Awareness?
I know there's some funds out there. Let's just find the right place to look.
I would be happy to research it if you want to give me a name and number of the
Okay. you write any information that you know, and then we'll search from there.
Okay.
Beautiful, thank you. Okay, so next we're going to talk about school board. And there is a special school board meeting tonight, so our candidates are here, not going to that school board meeting, debating about graduation of different places. So, want to say thank you, and we've got the two people that are running for the seat that is opposed. So, thank you both for coming, really appreciate it. And as the non-incumbent, you get to decide whether you go first.
I would do first.
Okay, so Dennis is gonna go first. And thankfully Maria turned the lights on up here so people can see. Really appreciate it.
Well, I've never been up front in the theater like this before. I was commenting that probably when I was 13 or 14 in the 7th grade, I was wanting to sit out there and hold a girl's hand for the first time. But it's funny, my name's Dennis Carlton. There are 2 Dennis Carltons in Okanagan County, just so that you know. We have to differentiate ourselves at the bank, but to go by our middle initial. But for the most part, he's the good-looking one, and I'm the old guy. But Dennis Carlton, that owns Smallwood Farms, is my 3rd cousin, and I've been Dennis Carlton here in Omak for more years than I ever thought I would live. But I just think this is a wonderful forum, and I want to thank everybody that runs for an office. I was told not to run for some offices when I started in my business 50 years ago. And they said that because, you know, some of the things that we do are controversial. And, but at any rate, I found myself wanting to help all along in my career here in Omak, and it's led me to the school board. This is, I've served the school board for 12 years and am the current chairman of the board. So I'm running for, it's an at-large position, meaning that it kind of encompasses everything. And this will be, I think, my 3rd or 4th term. I don't know exactly, but the position is a position on the board. There's 5 of us on the board, I think. Okay. Anyhow.
Yes, there's 5.
Okay.
There's 2 at large and 3 that are in a specific location.
Okay, but at any rate, I've been serving in this position for 12 years, and I think I have another 4 years in me, even though my wife says different. But the school board is an interesting board, and you have to be pretty open-minded and a good listener. But I feel that the risk of helping people run a school, the school is the biggest entity we have in our county. A lot of people don't know we have a $100 million budget, and I might explain that in a little bit. But there's nobody else that has a budget that big, and so there's a lot of responsibility that goes into what we do. A lot of people think that we make decisions on, you know, whether Johnny gets a hack or not. And that's really not true at all. Our purpose is to hire professional people who are trained and have experience in can do the best job in administrating school policy and dealing with the state in running the school. And in fact, that's one of the challenges that we have. It's pretty difficult. The Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction is ingrained in what we do to the extent that they want to almost tell us everything that we should do. And that's difficult because we live in a small town, we all know each other, we all can talk to each other, we all can decide what it is best for our children in our area. Certainly we have to kind of conform because the Washington State Constitution, if you will, says that educating our kids is the most important thing we're supposed to do as a state. And so a lot of what they do is about schools, and they tell us you need to do this and you need to do that. And so we're always in the midst of policy changes and wrangle around, what's good for Johnny, what's good for Mary, what's good for everybody. And it's, it feels really good to be an adult and try to lead kids in the right way and educate them and pull us all together so that they can walk out with a diploma, go on to college, go on to a job, and have a career. When you talk about skills and experiences that I have to do this, I could start out by saying that I was an entrepreneur at a young age, but mostly when your dad tells you to change the sprinklers, you change the sprinklers. And when it's time to feed the horse or the cow or the pigs or the rabbits or the chickens, you gotta do that. And then the next day you gotta do that again. And again the next day. And so a lot of us that have grown up here, I feel very, very blessed that I had parents that made me work. Not only did my parents have animals, we had an orchard, we had a gas station, my mom did books here and there, and I got to tag along and learn how to work. And of all the things that I value most in my life is the work ethic that my mom gave me. When it comes to the school board, here in Omak, I found it pretty relational in the sense that most of us have a real similar idea of what ought to be done. And all we got to do is kind of iron out the details of what the government wants us to, how to say it, and this, that, and the other. But for the most part, we're all on the same page. And so the biggest thing that we do at the school is we hire a professional to be the superintendent. And I feel that we have an awesome superintendent, and I really feel that we made a lot of progress. Like the hospital, we're dependent upon the community for the tax dollars to make the place go around. Omak has positioned themselves quite smartly with the Washington online school that we manage that brings in extra dollars to our school, and of course we got to do extra work for that, but it gives our kids a leg up. And for a long time, Omak school districts used to be like we're always digging ourselves out of a hole. And I was part of that hole back in 1969 when I graduated from college and got a job here in Omak teaching school. So I taught school for 7 years. I was the varsity track coach. I had a very successful business program. I loved teaching school, but I just had more going on than just being a school teacher, and so I had to break out of there be a businessman. So I've been working for a Fortune 100 company for the last 50 years. I've got a couple more months and then I'll completed 50 years. But the school board is a great opportunity to serve your community and make an impact on a lot of people's lives. I know I rambled, but what I hope to accomplish next term would be the fact that some of the most important things that happen in a school, besides teaching the classes, teaching the skills, teaching the kinds of things that these kids need to know so that they can graduate and have a diploma and meet the requirements that the state sets forth. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in and above that, from the teachers, the janitor, the coaches, everybody, the bus driver. We're a big team, and everybody plays a role. And you never know when any given kid gets a lift up and a great idea of what he's going to make or she's going to make of themselves from whomever that's working for the school district. My biggest fear is I don't mind battling people that want to do this or want to do that and talk to them. My office has always been open to people to come in at any time and talk about the school, and I know we can talk about that. But when you see all of these tragic events that happen at churches and schools and whatnot, and my life was really affected when the Freeman School had a local boy come to school and shoot some of his classmates. When I saw the agony of the Freeman School District and we all shed tears, that's when I decided that Omak was going to be as safe a place as it could possibly be. Notwithstanding that it's your children and your grandchildren there, as well as my grandchildren there too. But Omak has partnered with the Omak Police Department, and we have a resource officer that's been on the job for a couple of years, and I feel very proud to be one of the people on the board that insisted that we have that relationship with the community and that we provide that safety for the kids. And so that's one thing for sure that I know will carry on, and one thing that I would make sure happens. We just want to continue those things. The school needs some buildings. My grandpa was on the school board in 1947 when we built the Emmerich School. It's still there. We're still running kids through it. I went through there. My son went through there. My grandkids going through there, and I have a great-grandchild in a few years might be there too. But some of this stuff we got to take care of, and it's pretty hard to run bonds for the hospital, run taxes for the city, and run stuff for the school. But you know, as a community, we all have to just reach down and grab the bootstraps and do what we can to be the best that we can. I have an office downtown, 20 North Main Street, Carlton Financial. If I'm not there, my son's there. He's interested in making sure his kids get a good deal at the school. And so you can stop there anytime and talk. And my phone number is 322-3988. And my name, Dennis Carlton at NCI Data, is my email. And I thank you for the opportunity to serve the community, and I still got a few more years in me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Heather Neely. There's three primary reasons why I want to run for school board. Dennis was not my first choice to run against. I have to tell you, I've always liked Dennis and get along well with Dennis. But number one is the transition from East to the middle school is really jarring when you think of like say the outdoor space. because there's acres and acres of grass over east, and when you get to the middle school, it is nothing but blacktop. I was part of the first 6th grade class to go through the middle school after it was remodeled, and I remember 40 years ago or more how I felt, and I didn't know what to do with myself because it was just concrete and blacktop at that time. And this summer I went there with my kids and looked around, and it reminds me of a prison yard. It is not a space that induces calm or peace or anything. It's a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling. And I understand that they want to replace the building, but I think that there's something that we could do to improve that outdoor space while the kids are still going to school there. The second, and possibly the most important reason, and here we're going to get political, the first school board meeting I went to in the springtime didn't make it to that one, and I felt it was a really important one. I was the only parent there, and it was voting on policy for transgender kids. And I understand there are confused kids in the world, and my concern isn't specifically about them, but biological males in girls' private spaces. I mean, we hear about it in the sports arena, and that's not fair, biologically speaking, but I'm a mom of 2 young girls, one that has very few words. She can't tell me if somebody were to hurt her. And I know that at some point in time, somewhere, some creep is going to take advantage of that type of situation, and he's going to hurt a girl. And I don't want it to happen at our school, or certainly not to one of my girls or any one of the community's kids. And the third thing that's important to me is building up our CTE program. I know that there's another school board member that would really like to see that improved as well. My daughter's babysitter, her name is Josie Fletcher. She went to be a welder, and I asked her, I said, were you prepared? She said no, she wasn't prepared. Of course, she wasn't prepared for the freedom of choice, going from home to going to school. And I said, okay, well, what about welding? Because that's what you're focused on. She said, quote unquote, that the welding program at our high school is, quote unquote, absolutely horrible. And she was very grateful for the program she's in now. They start from the ground up. And if we want to prepare our kids for the future, we know that AI is here. It's not just coming, it's here. And they're not going to be blue collar or any white collar jobs as much as they're going to be blue collar jobs to support families and hopefully come back to our community and provide services for us here in the future. Does anybody have any questions? No. You know what, I forgot to tell you what my experience is. Out of college, I was a legislative assistant for the late Senator Bob Morton, and then I worked for the House of Representatives for 3 different state representatives for a few years. You might know my face from Omak Feed, and I'm currently working as the office manager for 24/7 property maintenance. You can reach me at heatherneely.89@yahoo, or my cell phone number is 429-2780. Thank you so much.
And one of the other things, the goal of this kind of forum allows people to do is hear about different roles that the community has that they could maybe someday think about. Because you'll think about it one day. Maybe next term you might think about running. So planting that seed, the community needs everyone's experience, and they need you to be engaged. Okay, so next we are going to talk about Omak City Council and Omak Mayor. So Mayor has 2 candidates, and City Council we have 2 or 4 people here. Okay, 2 here. The 2 City Council members that are running unopposed. Maria has a unexpired term of how many years?
I was appointed in March, and so I'm there
appointed in March, automatically on the ballot, and
Do you want me to just go first and then Maria can go?
yes, you can go first and then Maria can go. And I was only working on this for like 2 weeks, or before I figured out there's more than one character.
Yes, that is my husband, Kelly. So, Nattalie, Cariker. I'm running for City Council, position 3. There's different positions within the city, but it used to be for different zones. That's not the case anymore, so just letting people know on that. Let's see, I'll go through my list. Some of the most important things I see is being fiscally responsible when we do the yearly budget, making sure the funds that come in from the taxpayers are going to the appropriate things, and making sure that we have the appropriate services that we need. I wish at times we had more money so we can have more resources, but we're in a rural community and it is what it is sometimes, so we kind of stick with that. I also believe community is a big thing, and people know a little bit about me. I like to do community events because it brings people together. It brings communities together and people interact. And so with we got Halloween Harvest Festival, Zombie Fun Run, and the movie coming, and then we got Santa's House, and those are near and dear because that way people don't have to leave Omak to go find those events. They are right here for any socioeconomic status. So I like doing free events because it's important, right? Let's see. A little bit about myself. 17 years in law enforcement as a police officer, and the last about 3.5 was police chief as all Brewster. And having my last 2 children while being chief was a little difficult. And so I decided to change up my job. And so I work for the state of Washington, supervisor for adult protective services for Okanagan, Chelan, and Douglas County. So that keeps me quite busy, which is good. But I like it because we do a lot of help. I think that's my biggest thing over the years. When I was in high school, freshman year, had a great teacher and mentor, Rhonda Colbert from up north. Anybody knows her? There's a career mentors program, and I'm like, I want to be a cop. Didn't have a great childhood, so I was like, how can we help? Being a police officer. And so that's where I went down and did a lot of ride-alongs with the different agencies, and no one knows that for a different, it's been a long time, since I was like 14, and I want to be 46 soon. So anyways, so community and people are important, because that's what we're all about. And let's see. What would I like to see for accomplishments coming in the future? To find more resources for homelessness and substance abuse in our rural community. There's a lot of programs that are up and coming and into the area. We have CORE for the last few years and out in the county, which is great. We have Advanced Northwest. We have lots of other entities that are there to help. And we are very rural. We don't have some of those resources that larger counties have or King County has. But I feel like we just keep working on that to keep seeing what else we can add to help. And this year we went over council and the mayor and city administrator over to Olympia to talk to them about what's going on over here and the concerns that we're seeing, okay? And then we've had conversations with Representative Andrew Engel about homelessness and mental health and substance abuse and what can be looked at, what can be added, what can be helped out. So we're still very interactive on that to seeing what we can do because we want to make it safe. I know everybody wants to make it safe. Just because there's some roadblocks here and there, we just have to figure out how do we work with them and how do we help still make sure that it's safe at the end of the day. For anybody, for our kids, we just want to make sure, especially the kids, are safe when they are walking around in this town. So that's really important to me. So, does anybody have any questions before I tell you how to get a hold of me? All right. So I'm going to give you my home phone, and it's 509-422-5101. The best email to get a hold of me is at the city's email, and that's Nattalie with 2 T's, Nattaliec for Cariker at, that is omakcity.com. So I greatly appreciate you guys all coming out and listening tonight to us. What I do encourage, I know that council meetings, we have people come, which is awesome. It's great to keep having that, and it's great to see more people coming to those, to voice concerns or thoughts, or big thing is what type of solutions. So, thank you.
So I have one written question.
Yes.
What do you see as the top barrier for solving homelessness in the county?
Top barrier I see is legislative laws. And I feel the only way to do that is constant communication with our representatives in Olympia, all the way to the governor's office. For anybody and the community, everybody in the community, to keep vocalizing their concerns, their thoughts, and what we can do to help make that safer and better, and homeless of more housing, more funding for that. I know the state is in a budget issue. It's going to be for the next few years. But what other ways can we look at that to help that out? And then substance abuse. There's a lot of that. It's not everything with homeless, okay? I get that. But there's a percentage that is, okay? From my last job, I've seen that from even growing up. I've seen that with my own dad being homeless for years with substance abuse issues. So it is what it is. And it's then trying to figure out how do we help them. Sometimes people, it's not that time yet. And that's the thing. People are adults. They get to make that decision unless the court states they're unable to make that decision anymore. So it's those things, working with the state representatives to really help find those solutions, and can't just keep raising taxes to pay for everything, right? Because we're pretty taxed. But figuring out other different solutions that we can do within the communities. I know different Chelan-Douglas County, they have quite a bit of outreach with their churches. And the funds that they get from different grants and so on and so forth, to have different facilities, to have different little camps with housing. There's lots of different things that each of the counties are doing within the state. Some have more, some have less. It just depends on resources and who's running it. So I think that's definitely something that's important to have, in addition with the county commissioners, because it is county concern, not just the city of Omak's, to find out how can we help make sure everybody's safe, but also make sure that the homeless people are safe too, right? And then they get the help that they can receive within the community, even from OVHC. So there's just some hurdles. It's just vocalizing those hurdles and hoping there'll be some changes here and there over time. Does anybody have any questions on my response? Thank you.
So my name is Maria Lassila, and on April Fool's Day, 1976, coming up on 50 years next year, my parents bought this theater. And that is when we moved to Omak, and I've been here ever since, working in the theaters. Went away for a while, came back. I've been back for the last 10 years. I was managing both theaters for my father, and when he passed away, I now run it for my siblings. The three of us own the theaters. So I have a long experience living in Omak, not as much as others. I know I was the outsider because I was not born here. But I have a lot of experience in the business community here. I was previously the president of Omak Chamber for several years, and I stepped down for a while, and now I'm back again. And when this position opened up, I was appointed to this position, position number 7, City Council, in March to replace Meyer Louie, who passed away very unexpectedly last December. I realized that it was kind of the piece of the puzzle that went with it, having the business experience, having the community service part of the puzzle, and then to be part of the government made it just seem like one of my goals is always how do we make Omak a better place for ourselves and for our future residents. I have 2 nephews and a niece that live here, and so when I look forward, even though I don't have children, because I have them, I want to make sure that Omak is a better place for them and for everybody else's children, because they are really sort of probably everyone's why we do things. Need my glasses, because even with these lights, I'm still blind as a bat. So how long have I been serving in this position? Since March. So I'm the new kid on the block. I kind of look around and try to act like I know what I'm doing. And, a lot to learn. What do I think is the most important job for this role? It is basically realizing that we are stewards of the budget, stewards of, there's a lot of taxes that are paid, that are put into the budget, and we need to figure out how to spend that money wisely. And everyone's going to have an opinion why one thing should be given priority over another, and it's up to us to make informed and thoughtful decisions about what our priorities should be, and also to be able to change course. Because failures will happen, mistakes will be made. I remember my father told me once, he said, Maria, not everything you do is going to turn out right. He said, but that's okay. You just keep going. And so I think it's important that if we make a decision and it turns out not to be working, that we need to be able to say, okay, let's change course. Let's do something else. Let's see. What skills and experience do I have that will help me be successful? I will say my experience, of course, I mentioned with the theater, with chamber, with Economic Alliance. What skills? I would say that people skills are really important. What I've learned, and I wish that I had learned this really earlier in life because it probably would have made my life easier and better, is that you can't do things on your own. You really need to be part of a team, and it's really important to realize that everyone around you has some sort of a skill or an experience, brings something to the table. And so I feel like it's really important to talk to other people who at first glance might seem to be so different from you and in such a different area that you couldn't possibly have anything in common, anything to talk about. But I think that's almost never the case. When you talk to people, you find out things about their background, their special skills, their special interests, their areas of study. Everyone has something to contribute. And it's important to, as a community leader, to draw that out, to get people to contribute what it is that they have, because that's the only way that we're going to make changes, if we get skills from many, many members of our community, for people to step forward and to put in a little bit of time or a lot of time to do something. But the bigger our team, the more likely that we're going to achieve our goals and that we're going to accomplish things and make Omak a better place. What do I hope want to accomplish. I guess I would be kind of sort of repeating what Nattalie was talking about. Obviously, our most visible problems right now are vagrancy. I understand there's a homeless problem. To me, I feel like the term is a little bit more vagrancy because I feel like if we built housing, it wouldn't necessarily get everyone off the street. And I'm not exactly sure how we do that, but it's definitely it's a goal for all of us because this is not the Omak that a lot of us grew up in. We have a lot of vacant buildings, especially in the commercial area, which doesn't help that. And again, just looking at making sure that we're spending money in the right way. We have the right priorities, and if they're not working out, we need to change course. So how can you reach me? Well, everybody knows I'm often at the theaters. So, omakgarage@gmail is a good email for me. Facebook through the theater is good, or I'm often here. If you pop into usually the Marge, I'm pretty easy to spot. And I think that's all I have. Anyone have any questions for me? Leah, has your husband got his arm up in the back, or is he just putting it around you?
He's just putting it around me.
Okay, just date night in the back row. It's been like that for the last 50 years since I've been here.
At the theater, it's dark. Yes, some things change dramatically and some things never do.
That is true. Alrighty, well then that's all I have. Thank you. And thank you for coming.
Okay, so next we have the mayor's race. And Aaron, as the non-incumbent, you get to pick whether you go first or second.
I'll go second.
Okay, so that makes Cindy go first.
Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. My name is Cindy Gagne. I am the mayor for the city of Omak, and I've held this position since the passing of Dale Sparber, and that would be 2008. And so I am in the end of my 4th term. The most important job, I think, as a mayor, you really have to understand how municipal government works. We heard from council people, they are the legislative body. It's their responsibility to put together the laws and the ordinance, and it's the responsibility of the mayor to ensure that the department heads follow through and make certain those laws and ordinances are followed by the departments. So in my position, I believe that the choreography of relationships is super important for the mayor. You've got to know who your other organizations, your partnership organizations are. You've got to know who to go to. And as Maria was telling you, everybody needs to be a part of it. Although I've kind of gotten away from social media, I much prefer to have conversation face to face. I've seen some comments lately that kind of indicated why would the leadership continually want to come out to the community and ask for help. And I think one of the really important parts of that is please don't elect people and expect them to be and do everything, because the next best idea is sitting here. Every single council meeting is an open public meeting, and it is open the very same way. Is there anyone here who's not on the agenda who'd like to address council? It means anyone. After every single motion, and we've had the information provided to us, another question is asked. Does anyone have any questions? You have the opportunity, it's an invitation. Basically, we're begging you to have contact with us. Tell us what you're thinking, get your questions answered. You can't vote because you're not an elected person, but your opinion matters. And the legislative body might find something in your response or your question that they didn't think about. So that's really important, and that's how you, our constituency throughout the city, actually are part of what happens within the city. Can't read it. Sorry. The lighting is not great, Maria. That's all right. The skills and experience, I've actually been in professional management for the last 28 years. And kind of along this, I've done things a lot together. I also spent about 15 years coaching the first Omak High School soccer teams, both boys and girls, and so I am about leadership, I am about connectivity, getting people engaged and doing the kind of things that are going to be a part of the whole. I want people to be a part of the conversation, and I like seeing success of others. One of the biggest things is you're coming into the mayor because you think, oh, you know, this is a big position in the city of Omak. The big position in the city of Omak is the legislative body. For the mayor, it's that connectivity. I've worked with committees in every single department head that we've seated. So you seat a committee, you interview the applicants, you go through all their credentials, you ask them those really important questions, and then you seat somebody. Council has affirmed every position I've ever asked, and right now you have a leadership team with the city of Omak that is just, they're on it. And so I'm really proud of the work that they're doing, and I'm really grateful of the community partnership in sitting on boards and commissions and being a part of that. Some of the important stuff that's going on next Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every month, is a planning commission meeting. Next Tuesday, they will hold a hearing on an annexation request. Annexations are important to this community, and if you want to be a part of that, please go to that hearing. If for no other reason, to be there to hear what's going on, but you can offer questions or suggestions or have maybe you're a proponent or you're an opponent of what's going on. Get your opportunity to do that. We've also reseated the park board. Those two are community volunteers who are invested in finding good ways to use our park systems. Their meetings are open too. They're the second Tuesday of every month. There are lots of ways to get involved if you want to be a part of those meetings. What do we expect to, or what would I like to accomplish over the next year? Our job as municipal government is to see that quality services are provided. You need clean drinking water. You need a sewer system that's effective. The streets have got to be good. We've got a municipal airport. We've got a cemetery. And yes, there's green space in the parks. I want those things to work, and I want them to be the very best that they can. Other than that, we have some issues, and we hear about them all the time. I think homeless is kind of a term in vogue right now. We know that many of the people they might be street people chosen to live on the street, or they might very well be homeless, or they might be people who want to engage with others in that open space. So that is an issue though, and we know it. We do have rules, and we're engaged now to make certain that the results or the repair of what's going on isn't going to kill the process. So you don't want the cure to kill the person. You want it overall to be a functioning and working result. So we're working on that. I think you're going to see that things are coming together. We're working with partners. We are talking to our state legislation. The issue is not just Omak, it is county-wide. I appreciated the question that was handed out to Nattalie, because that is the breadth of the issue. What is the issue overall? In Omak, we see it, and sometimes what we see is an unintentional aftermath of people trying to do good things, and then it's got this ripple event, and things just kind of, they end up looking like they look. So we know we've got that kind of an issue, and there are all kinds of things that can and will be done in the city. So I'd like to be a part of it. We've got some cool things that have happened. We've got a beautiful piece of architecture now in the park. That was born of the community. That skate park started many, many years ago with Ruth Harmon. She was a reverend's wife, and she partnered with some local young kids, and we've come that far and have that beautiful piece over there. We partnered with organizations like Rotary, that they took what had been the skate park and turned it into a pickleball court over in East Omak Park. It's really nice to be able to have those resources used. So it's all of those connections. We had a local constituent who was not very happy about how traffic was working on his street. Well, there are a lot of streets, and we might not know about these things until he came forward and explained what he thought the issue was. So we went on a field trip, and we looked at the situation, and then you have to decide that thoughtful perspective. Does it make sense to do something? Well, if you're traveling on West Great Street, where it intersects with Ironwood, you'll find that the traffic there's stop signs there now. They weren't there before, because when we went out with members of the council, and he was out there and he was telling us why he thought it was bad, they decided that would be a good idea, and it's there. Team 1 is a product of community intervention as well. The community, after a workshop, found that there were things within the city. There's garbage everywhere, there's graffiti everywhere, there's no interconnection, no communication going on with people who are out there on the sidewalks. It was grant funded, but it was a program born of the city and the constituency, and they've done a really great job doing cleanup of the streets and the graffiti and making that connection. So you can have a voice, and I'd like to be here to help you share that voice, because anytime I'm anywhere, I'm going to invite you to have a conversation. And too often, like at a city council meeting, it will take you kind of building yourself up to come to a city council meeting. You don't have to do that, because you're okay on your own. But if you come to a meeting wielding a sword, no matter what meeting, school board or anyone, you're going to be met with a shield. We don't need to do that. Even adversarially, we don't need to stand toe to toe. I want to know what you think. I want to know what your thoughts are. Let's figure out a way to do it. I, just like Dennis, have never turned away a conversation. If you want to talk to me, I've never turned away an invitation to have a conversation. I would like to do that. So, questions? Anyone? How do I get involved in government? Yes?
Mayor, I have a hypothetical. If your chief of police came to you and asked you, they were contacted by Homeland Security for a request to assist, what would your response be?
If my chief of police came to me and told me that Homeland Security had contacted him,
Right.
there are mandates that disallow that type of thing. The one thing you've got to understand about elected officials is we take an oath of office. We will uphold the local law, the state law, whether we like it or not, and the federal laws as well. So that's not going to be something, I understand it's hypothetical, it's not going to be something that happens. Other questions? I will tell you how I got into politics, because personally I think it's fascinating. Many years ago, it was a long time ago, but we wanted, a group of us wanted to have soccer fields in East Omak. And there was a park board run by Mary Coke. I don't know if anybody knows Mary Coke, but she was running the park board, ad hoc park board at the time. And so a group of us had gotten involved, and I got on this ad hoc committee, and we got to go to Olympia. And I gave the presentation there. I was just bitten by that. It is so exciting to be there and to be able to share that kind of thing. And so that's how it happens, just that little tiny bit where you're over there and it's such energy. And really a great deal of fun to be a part of something when it's shared. So I do appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we get Aaron to bring up our last speaker, and then we can ask other questions as we get done.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron Pennycooke, and I'm running for a position of mayor. And just before I get into it, to answer your question there, sir, in the back, if I was mayor and the chief of police called and said there is another law enforcement agency that needs assistance and needs cover, I'm not going to leave them out in the shelter. I'm going to say if they need assistance, you're going to go protect them and have their back. That's what I would do. Yeah, what do I think is the most important role for this job? Well, I would think it's accountability and results. There's no job you can do over and over again without having any accountability and having no result and expect to keep that job. And if anyone knows one out there, feel free to let me know, because I probably will apply for that. I don't know. What experience and skill do I have to become a successful mayor? Well, I'm not a politician. If any of you guys know, I am not. But there's one thing I do know. There's a couple years ago, there was a guy who decided he wasn't a politician, but he wanted to make a change. And he ended up in the White House. So nothing is impossible. That's all I have to say about that. So I don't need to know how to fly a plane to own a plane. I just need to know to have the right pilot. So there we're gonna go with that. And What would be working better under my leadership? Well, we'll have a bunch of, I'm tired of hearing our hands are tied and it's the West Side fault. We don't live in the West Side, we live in Omak. So we need a leader who's not an invertebrate. That means a leader who has some backbone, gonna say, I hear you, but you don't live over here. We're not facing the same problems that you are facing over there that we have over here. That's what we got. So you gotta have somebody who's gonna make the big decision and say, it's gonna be a yes or it's gonna be a no, but just because you say so doesn't mean that we're gonna go with that. And somebody has to take on that role. We want somebody like the president who's gonna be like, are you allowed to do that? We don't know. We have never had anybody like not do this how we said it is. You need to have somebody who's gonna question what they say and not just roll because they say to. What do I hope to achieve in the next term? Well, for me, as I said, I believe in results. And so for the, I don't need a full term. I only need a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years max. And if I'm not getting the results, then I feel free to say, yeah, I didn't make the cut. So, and just like any other job, if you don't make the cut, you start over about something else. I'm not doing this for me. I have a 4-year-old, and I want her to live the American dream, and I don't want it just to be a dream, I want it to be a reality. And the way stuff is going, I can't have her go to the park and run around by herself, or get poked by a needle or something, then and then we all hear everyone saying, oh, what are you doing? What is the mayor doing? Or what? No, it's what I can do for my community, not what my community can do for me. That's why I put my name on the ballot, and that's why I'm here. And the best way to get contact with me is by email, and it's going to be Pennycooke at Yahoo. Do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Good.
You're currently a police officer for the city of Omak, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're out in the middle of this on a daily basis, are you not?
If you guys in here, he asked if I was a police officer in the city of Omak. I said, yes, I am, and he's asking if I'm in the middle of this on a daily basis. Yes, I am in the middle of a daily basis.
Do you feel that what you see and your experiences are giving you the enthusiasm and impetus that some of these issues can in fact be solved?
Some of these issues can be solved. What we need is to stop having excuses. Or our hands are tied. We just need somebody that's going to make a decision and stick to it. And say, it is what it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things I wanted that occurred to me as people were talking, you like see me writing because I knew if I waited and didn't write it down, it would go flying out my head, is please come and be involved in city council meetings, in school board meetings, because you may be able to see problems that other people can't see. And you may be able to see solutions that seem incredibly obvious to you that other people just cannot see. So because this is a small town, and because most people here know who Wayne Beach now is, right? Okay, so he's like this tall, and he lives a couple doors down from my mom's house. And so we built the house where my mom lives, and she's got this chicken coop, and it never occurred to me that this chicken coop was low, right? Because you just walk through the gate and it's not any big deal. Well, I was walking through this gate with Wayne, and it is this tall, is the roof of the chicken coop on Wayne. I cannot see that roof. Wayne can clearly see that roof. And another experience that we dad is we were moving a big wheel line. Me being very tall, my brother's also 6'4", and trying to figure out the solution for moving this wheel line. I was envisioning ratchets, I was envisioning all kinds of things that I would have to take apart to make this thing move, to get the wheels by the solution. And you know what they did? They just walked by and shoved it up over the mover. And that is never a solution that would have occurred to 5'4" me, because I can't see that solution. So just because you see a solution, it's not that other people see the same solution and ignore it. They may not see it. So you showing up and saying, well, this is an easy solution that could solve this problem. That's what the community needs. You may be able to see something that other people can't see. And so that's one thing. And the other thing, I realized that one of my dad's brilliances was we'd always come up with, different solution, who can out-redneck engineer the other person. And his solution was always, can you do it for free and without going to town? So, if I came up with a solution that cost $150, and he came up with a solution that he could do for free with garbage he had on site, who was really the better engineer? And that's one thing that rural people know how to do. Get stuff done, what needs to get done, and there's never enough money. So the idea that government doesn't have enough money to get stuff done, well, that means every rural person can write a master's class in how to solve a government job, because almost all of them here, that government job is figuring out how to get done what you need to get done without enough cash. So, thank you everybody for coming, and let me know if there's questions.